him. Face him too early, and John might be too fresh. Face him too late, and he might already have been beaten. Despite strategizing, one after the other fell before John Brzezink's mighty right arm that day, and nobody claimed the cash prize. Who's that arm wrestler? It's Cobra Rhodes.
I am ready to arm wrestle now. Can I arm wrestle now?
Still in high position, center of the third. Very.
Jeff Dape has the biggest hands in arm wrestling, a heavy machine operator. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Welcome to the Arm Historian Live. As every Sunday. Let's get some music going. There we go. Turn it up a little bit. How you all doing out there in the arm wrestling world? Mean says, hey, did you watch the WAF matches? Yes. I did watch most of WAF, although I missed quite a bit today, specifically, so not quite up on the right-hand matches, but I did watch nearly all the left-hand matches. Might be uploading a compilation of that. In the not too distant future. Hey Tomer, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Welcome. That's one of the things that's on the docket for today, because it's kind of the biggest thing that happened in arm wrestling in the past week, which was the WAF Worlds, and then maybe a couple of other things. I heard Engin is having his retirement match. It's all planned out apparently against none other than Artur Makarov. Last guy he faced. Means is that Mali guy looks promising. Yeah. We're a couple of people from nations that you don't normally associate with arm wrestling that did quite well, or that looked quite good on the table. Tomer says, unfortunately I can't be here for long today. I will try to be as engaged as much as possible. No worries, Tomer. I appreciate you tuning in. Yep. Thank you, and no worries. It's gonna be a short stream anyway. Probably because, apart from WAF, not a lot happened this week, I think. Specifically. Because I want to get to editing a video I'm working on. For those of you that didn't catch it, I did make a video on Andrei Pushkar, which is now available to watch on the channel. What the Arm Wrestling's Fallen Giant. Had a lot of fun researching his career. Knew very little about the man, to be fair. Only what I picked up here and there. Let's take a look at the WAF, I think, and that's... You can say a lot about the WAF. I saw a lot of critique on the WAF, some of which was definitely warranted. But one thing that you have to give to them is they never copyright strike. Like, I've never received one claim or one strike from the WAF at all, ever. And I've used plenty of their footage, so yeah. The live chat was a pure meme with all the Mali. Yeah, I saw. Was nice. Let's see here. Yep. Like this song. Turn it up a little bit. Yep. Yeah, let's take a look here at we might as well take a look at the right arm matches first, because like I said, I haven't had any time to take a look at them. So you'll be experiencing them together with me for the first time if you haven't seen them already. Let's get chat here too. Do you know if Artur Makarov is a title holder right now? Because if he's not, then I think Engin's match should have been against Mindaugas, because then he could win a title and retire on top of the world. Can you imagine? Yeah, I think it wouldn't work anyway, since Mindaugas would be the title holder in East versus West, right? And this is, I think, Georgia versus West, if I'm not mistaken. Or Georgia versus World, sorry. Not really versus West, Georgia versus World. Hopefully Myrambic can pull undistracted tomorrow with that left arm injury. Yeah, that's always a risk you take if you pull in both classes. Yeah, unfortunate. Happened many times before with many athletes. So let's see, I'll start with table number 1. I'm not gonna watch all of them, obviously. I'm just gonna skim through a little bit. See if there's some athletes that we recognize, kind of are interested in the result, you know what I mean? It's unfeasible for me to watch what amounts to 2 days of footage or something on this live stream, so I'm just gonna skim through it, probably based on weight classes and who's pulling at a certain moment. You guys can also send me timestamps if there's like certain matches you want me to check out for sure. Kazakhstan and Georgia, as always, looking really good. I believe there's like a juniors girl who won, a 16-year-old who won the minus 75 kilogram or minus 70 kilogram category in the senior women. Crazy. Let me readjust the mic here for a second. Still kind of getting used to the IRL cam. That whole controversy with Daniel and that other guy was not a good look for WAF. Yeah, let's skip around, and maybe that's a better way to approach it. I'm gonna skip to that moment. I think it was here, right? On the right? Was it a left-handed match? I think it was today on the right. These are the right-handed finals, just to be clear. Take a quick look here. Because there were a lot of impressive women there too. Like a ton. Anyone know if Fia Rysek won her category? She looked pretty dominant in the preliminary rounds. Mean says fouls too strict, man. Yeah, that's one of the criticisms you see lobbied at WAF often. And yeah, I kind of agree there. It was frustrating to watch at certain points. Was left-handed. Edwin says, interesting, okay. Fia took second, lost to an 18-year-old, I heard. Crazy. Crazy. Yeah, a lot of young talent that's coming up. Like, this girl, I think, on the right is also pretty young, if I'm not mistaken. And I think also took gold here, but might be thinking of the left arm. Yeah, but I did saw the Daniel Prokopchik clip. There's like this still of him just sitting there all alone on like the top 3 award podium. Damn, okay. Strong. Let's try and find that. It should be the finals on the left arm then. Yep. It's pretty early on, right? Because it's Daniel Perkovchik. It's not going to be like in a heavy weight class. They also changed the format somewhat, which was interesting. Like, isn't it spread over more days? I seem to remember the finals happening all in the same day. Yeah, I should be here, right? I want to take a look at this entire match, actually. Okay. She's 16 and won her category. Crazy. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, these youngsters coming up are... Like, we had a guy in one of the last trainings we did with another club. There was a guy who was 18 and really, really strong and surprisingly technical already. Some of these guys, like his father was an arm wrestler, so I guess that's a good sign, right? If there's like second generation arm wrestlers coming up in the sport right now. Usually a good sign, I think. Of course, there's been multi-generational families, but I see it happening quite often now. WAF is so strict. WAL isn't a solution, but I'd prefer WAL's rule set over WAF any day, says Stomer. Yeah, I can see that. I enjoy WAF for what it is, but I wouldn't want to watch the entire thing. And that's coming from someone who's pretty deeply involved with the arm wrestling world. Yeah, even I wouldn't want to sit through the entire thing in one sitting, you know what I mean? Plus, I don't get as excited for WAF as I would super matches. Just the way it is. There are some awesome juniors at WAF, yep. I think that's one of the things that's nice about the WAF is it gives you a very wide array of arm wrestlers to watch. So you often come across new faces, new names in the sport that you wouldn't otherwise, just because there's such a large number of very good arm wrestlers there that some character is bound to jump out, right? So I think for scouting like new talent, so to speak, WAF is really good and always has been. Now, like I said, does that mean I like universally enjoy all the WAF tournaments? No, of course not. I think Bacho won his weight class right and left, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Bacho looking really good, also looking quite thick. I also saw Reno did really well, so of course we want to congratulate Reno, friend of the stream. Awesome guy, glad he did so good at the Worlds. Edwin says it was a horrible format. The people on the B side were getting like 3 matches back to back. Yeah, that's what it looked like. So, okay, let me rewind this for a second because we kinda... Okay, there's grip. Daniel moved, according to the ref. Use this riser. Okay. Foul on Daniel Prokopchik. Doesn't seem to agree, but consummate professional, of course. Keeps going. Are the refs being like overly hard on Daniel here, or what's going on? Very careful. Another elbow foul, okay. Daniel kind of, yeah, moves on from it pretty quickly. But I'm assuming they have to go again, right? Yeah, there was a... Let me rewind that, guys. See what you guys think. I think I saw it too. Yeah, he did come off the front. That's true, though. One more time. Yep. For sure. Even here, he's still kind of off the path. But he was more forward before, so... Yeah. For sure, in my opinion. Elbow foul. Hey, Phil Woody, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Yep. It's all chill here at the Arm Historian Live. Hey, Kazazuri, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Welcome. Yeah, Woody, really good point there. Phil Woody says, I enjoyed watching Jeff the Hailraiser. I enjoyed Jeff's performance too. Very strong. And in the finals, I believe it was the finals, right? Or the semis, did really well. So yeah, props to Jeff. I see him like competing in WAF quite frequently, so he's one of those US pullers that seemingly either has the means to go to WAF often, or like actually wants to take up the challenge of going to WAF, because I think not a lot of US pullers put themselves out there like that. And Jeff, yeah, props to him, man. Keeps doing it, and it's paying off. Looked really strong on the table, and quite an interesting look he had going for himself, so I liked it. Way less clean cut than he was before. Edwin Lindbergh says, I am 16 and I am pretty strong, but seeing a 16-year-old win senior men was crazy. Yeah, indeed. That is crazy and pretty hard to imagine. But yeah, happens. But yeah, I guess the Prokopchik, let's see if we get to like the... So what was the deal? Was it on the right, the Prokopchik one? I think it was, right? Must have been. Or maybe it's further down that they go again. Yeah, here we go. Anybody know why the Georgians were allowed to compete? What happened to the ban? I don't know. I read a couple of things online. I don't know. I don't know the details behind it. Some people say like some bans automatically expire in some years. I don't know. I think it's all a little bit vague. Especially for a league that enforces its rules so strict. Yeah, a little vague. Maybe you can find it on their website, but I couldn't. Not easily anyways. Also, Jordan Sonev wasn't he heavily IFA? Yeah, I saw people talking about that too. No clue. Again, you won't get a statement out of the WAF anytime soon. I think. At least not a well-published one. I think they like maintain their Facebook page or something, but I don't really spend a lot of time on there, to be fair. Homer says, I hope Auden competes in WAF. He's still considered a youth, but given Devon's track record at WAF non-existent, I don't see it happening. Devon does have a track record at WAF, not non-existent. I believe he entered one in 2000 or 2001. I'm sure Someone will correct me on that. In Japan? Tokyo, I believe. I think he even snagged like a silver on the left or something. Can't quite remember. But I made a video on it, so yeah. He never competed at IFA, talking about Jordan Sonev. So did they unban everyone? No clue. Lagia says WAF slip rules are genuinely sickening to me at this point. Sometimes the consistency is a little lacking because it is, to me, it is still pretty subjective. Like a slip in a losing position and the way your hand is bent and stuff. I don't know. It's a hard thing to call. A good friend of mine, a training partner of mine, has had it called too in a tournament once. Doesn't happen often, but like slipping away, there has to be like, you have to still want to hold on or seem like you're trying to hold on to your opponent's hand. So if you just do this, going backwards like this, slipping like this, yeah, that's usually a foul. Or if you go underneath, like very obviously, especially in a losing position, they're going to give the pin to the other one. Batch looks like he went on holiday to Canada. I've heard the pancakes in Canada are really good. Yeah, he did look really thick. A quick pin here from Daniel. Well done there. Like very decisive. So now it's the final rematch, right? Or was this the final rematch? They're 1-1 now, right? And Daniel appealed it and it was called okay. Then he won. That was the problem, says Tomer. Yeah, I believe like the Kazakhstan players, the Kazakhstan pullers didn't even show up to like the giving of the medals. So I just saw Daniel sitting there all alone, looking like what just happened. $19.99, Edwin. Okay, yeah, I knew he was around there sometime. Came second to John. Yep, sounds about right. No, that's not a lot. I'll give you that. Could have gone a lot more, but chose not to. I don't know. I think at this point, like, I get it. Maybe Devin wasn't such a fan of the WAF for whatever reason. But at this point, like the whole Devin dodging Eastern guys, yeah, I don't buy it. Yeah, I don't know, my internet is acting up or YouTube itself. The Kazakhs did not come up to the podium, so they gave the silver and bronze to the 4th and 5th places. Interesting, okay. They actually gave the medals to different people, that's crazy. That's really crazy. I don't think I've seen that happen a lot. WAF, if ever. Take a quick look at why this isn't working. Try to refresh. Hey Tomer, see you next time, man. Hope you have a good rest of your evening. Bye-bye. Yeah, expect a new video on the channel, by the way, in the not too distant future. Couple of days tops. And if you haven't seen it already, take a look at my my Andrei Pushkar video, which is my latest upload. Okay, so here they go. The final match. Currently 1-1. seemingly having a difficult time in the setup, both of them. Going to the rest grip. I'm gonna look for something in the meanwhile. See if I can pull up Engin's retirement match poster. Here we go. Okay. Foul for Yerdalit. Back to the rest grip. Coincidental foul. Right. Yerdalit is calling for flipping in losing position, I think. But if he made a foul too, then... Okay, and now he's decided to contest the call, I guess. Now they're gonna watch the footage. Okay. It kind of looked like Daniel dumped under him, right? I don't know. Hard to tell from one replay. Daniel's keeping his cool, it looks like. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know what to make of this. Let's watch again here. Nah, I would call that a slip, I think. It looks worse from this angle. It does look worse. I would probably give the strap here, to be fair, if I was the ref. But you could argue, it's pretty close either way. Because Azuri says pro slip in my opinion. Yeah. Latrousseau, how you doing, man? Says, what did I miss? I haven't had time to watch anything this week. WAF happened, the WAF Worlds. I think they even still have to do one day, right? Not quite sure. Still some right-handed weight classes, I believe, but might have finished. I didn't get a chance to watch much of the right, if anything, but the left hand I did watch quite a bit already. A lot of the juicy parts were here with a Daniel Prokopchik versus Yerdalit. Sorry, I can pronounce your last name, from Kazakhstan. And yeah, there's some controversy here with Yerdalit saying Daniel, I think, like slipped in losing position or something. I think is what he's saying, like he dumped out his hand. You'll see here. Yeah, tough call, in my opinion. I don't know. Daniel was going sideways, it looked like. Just lost his hand. I don't think he necessarily, like, dumped too low or something, you know what I mean? Looked quite legit. Yeah, still pretty center indeed. Are they wanking over a slip? Yeah, that's kind of what it is. His hand went up when snapping, not down, says Kazazuri. The direction is intended. Yeah. It did go, like, he was doing this sideways, not really dumping like this It did look like he was trying to go sideways while getting top rolled, you know, like a flop wrist. Latruso says exciting stuff. Yeah, it's really... Daniel is having a good time too. The rest behind the computer reminds me of that one rapper meme. I think I know which one you mean, Lagia. Not like he went under, but sideways. Yep. I think I would give the slip too. Like, I would just go to straps here. But I kind of get why the Kazakhs fought it at first. But then I think that the grievous thing is like, after they decided to give it to Daniel, the Kazakhs basically said, fuck this, we're not going to participate anymore, and we're out of there. I think that's what happened, right? And then WAF said, okay, if you want to play it that way, that's fine. We'll give your medals to number 3, or no, number 4 and number 5, right? Because 2 Kazakhs quit, I think. There were 2 Kazakhs in the top 3, and then Daniel here. So the 2 Kazakhs just basically said, ciao, we're out of there. Yeah. Kinda milking this, Jesus. Replay after replay. And then this screen for a long while. There he is. Daniel looks so fed up. Still arguing here. Very nice. Guy with a shirt that says boss on the back. What? Like some bulky guy arguing with what looks to be the Kazakh coach. So childish. Daniel taking it in stride, I guess. It's a finish that'll go down in history. That's for sure. Hugo Boss, Siska Zazuri, yeah, might be. Menacing figure either way. This guy doesn't look happy, and then I guess the Kazakhs, or there's just a girl holding the 2 medals of the Kazakhs. I don't know. Weird scene. Huge boss. Daniel looking like a lost kid. Just strap him up and let them pull. Yeah. It's weird. It does seem a little... It did seem to get a little heated there, right? At the end there. Between some people. Which, like... Try and keep that out of it. No need. Just keep it professional. You're like trying to set a standard for the sport and like acting like you're kind of ascended above some other leagues and tournaments. But then kind of get control of your tournament, you know what I mean? But I don't blame the Kazakhs for contesting it. If you looked at it from a certain angle, you can kind of argue that it was like an intentional slip there in a losing position. But yeah, I don't think it was at the end of the day, but I don't blame them for that. But then kind of getting angry about it and not showing up for the medals and stuff, I don't know. Just take it in stride, go with it. Sometimes it lands in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. That's just how it is, right? And for like a league that's supposed to be like is supposed to maintain the highest standard of professionalism, little bit of a weird look. Daniel always pulls in a weird way, right? I guess, kind of, especially for someone his stature. But yeah, that's kind of true. Not the most conventional puller. But I think just looking back at the footage, it's pretty clear what his intention was in that particular round, so I think it was a slip pretty clearly when you looked at it from different angles especially. It looked pretty bad from that one downwards, like angle coming from down. But other than that, I think it was pretty clearly just a slip, in my opinion. Let's take a look if I can find the Engin retirement match here. Oh yeah, I also saw this. Maybe we should take a look at Bacho pulling. Seems to be some excitement around this one. Pulling Jordan Sonev here on the right. Pretty easy. Sonev kind of shaking his head in disbelief at the enter. At a strong bat choice. Yep, looking really good. Now I ask this every stream when I bring up Bacho. Has it actually been confirmed that he's Slovan's family? Like, has that actually been confirmed by anyone? I think they called each other cousins before or something, I don't know. He had a war right before this, okay, that explains. Athlete should get a foul for even thinking about slipping. There's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of people that would want to see it that way. And there used to be quite a bit more taboo to slip that quickly. Like now it's not uncommon to just see both guys dump everything up and just open their hand, even do everything apart from opening their hand when they're slipping. It's very obvious that both guys want to slip sometimes, but there used to be a way bigger taboo around slipping and around not holding on to your opponent. It used to be, I'm talking about like decades ago. It used to be more rare and people would be less willing to do it just because it would get them so much shit. So there were even certain leagues where was an automatic foul if like you initiated a slip or in any way like slipped. But yeah, for very practical reasons that you can imagine, that's not really something you can enforce easily, right? How come they can compete in this league? Didn't they eat pancakes? Yeah, I think there's pretty straightforward ways of getting around the test for certain substances, I believe. You can use substances that are out of your system in pretty short term, and then you can just take them, get all the benefits, and stop taking them a couple of months before the tournament. There's certain substances that they almost never test for. And plus, some guys just enter and hope that they never get tested, because not everyone is tested in these leagues. So, yeah, there's quite a bit of ways to kind of get around it or just reduce the chances that you'll get caught. And even then, there's still a lot of pullers that get banned every year for 1 year, 3 years, however long it is, for those kinds of infractions. Happens a lot. Happened to a lot of names you might have heard of. So, yeah. Hey, Sweden Arm Wrestling Television says, what's up, brother? WAF Worlds this year was full of surprises. Yeah, I enjoyed it, the parts I had time to watch at least. Or am I wrong and are these dudes natty? No, I don't think, with all due respect, there are some natty dudes, I think. at WAF, I'm pretty sure. Just going by the numbers. But I think most of them, especially the ones that end up at the top, probably not. I have a hard time believing Bacho is completely natural, although I don't know the dude, but yeah. I have a hard time believing that. They just took bad paracetamol. They all natty, of course. Sure, for the top guys, you have to test them all. Top 3 mandatory in every category. I don't think that's how it works. Would be nice, but I don't think that's how it works. Natty, you can tell. Mindaugus might be a natty. Yeah, there's a couple of guys. I don't think Jordan Sonev, for example, is on like huge stacks either. If he would claim natty, I don't know if he does or not, I don't know. But if he would claim natty, I could kind of believe it, you know what I mean? He doesn't look like unnaturally big. He's still huge, don't get me wrong, but yeah. I would believe it. But there's some guys where it's like, especially because some of these guys you've seen at the start of their career, how they looked. And then you see them like, when they notice oh yeah, I'm actually pretty good at this and I have like a chance of becoming really good. And then a couple of years later you see them like showing up in like 2 times as big all of a sudden in the span of like a year or 2. And that kind of gives it away, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't mean they wouldn't be able to reach that point naturally, it would just take a whole lot longer in my opinion. The senior men -75 was a drama-filled class, especially with the Kazakhs in the class, got fined and suspended for not showing up to the podium. Yep, just talked about that, Krige. Yeah, we just watched the whole Daniel Prokopchik saga unfold there. Latrousseau says Bacho just got stung by some Georgian bees. That's why his head grew. Yeah. I think Georgian bees are on pretty big stacks of gear too. The best way I can tell in my personal experience is when I pull older guys when they are off and then on cycle. Huge difference. Yeah, I bet. Plus, yeah, there's so many different substances that each do like an entirely different thing. Like, why am I almost invisible now? So crazy. Sometimes I show up very clearly and then other times there's some kind of automated lighting settings on this camera that I need to turn off or something. Mr. Green says guys should have respect to not compete in a tested event if they use. Well, yeah, in theory they should, but like, I don't know. Name me one event that's truly tested in arm wrestling to the point where like 80% is natural. I can think of one. It just doesn't exist in arm wrestling, right? You're going to WAF, you're going to the Worlds, and you're not using any performance enhancers. I think you'll be in a very small minority. And as an extension, unless you're some kind of truly genetical freak, you'll have a small chance of winning it outright. That's my opinion. I'm not stating it as fact or anything like that. As far as I know, WAF is the most tested arm wrestling league out there. But still, I don't think, yeah, like I said, you'd be a very small minority. Even there. Gotham Arm Wrestling, how you doing? Says, would it be as much fun to watch natural arm wrestling? Thanks, James Sturgeon, for subscribing. Gotham says, would it be as much fun to watch natural arm wrestling, or do we like to watch monsters like Levon and Dennis, etc.? Maybe the audience is encouraging the PEDs, just a thought. Yeah, to a degree, I think there is some truth to that. On the other hand, like, imagine if PEDs were not a thing, like they didn't exist. I think we would still find arm wrestling interesting, right? It's just that our standard of what a monster is would be, in a way, more realistic, right? I think we would still have genetical outliers and stuff like that. Our standard and our perception of what true monsters, quote unquote, look like would just be different, I think. In a PED-free arm wrestling world, so to speak. But yeah, I do definitely think you have a point there with the audience kind of encouraging the PED. It was just because they want to see the big freaks. But it's also because we're so used to big freaks already because of PEDs, you know what I mean? So I kind of feel like the PED set the standard, and then the audience became dependent on that standard and kind of wants more and more and more. So yeah, in a way I definitely agree with you there. Akazazuri says, we expect that it goes full Darko when you transform in a giant arm wrecking the room. Yeah, you still have to work for it. I think a lot of people have that misconception too, that it's still like magically makes you like a good arm wrestler or like super strong. I don't think that's the case. Of course. Some lighter guys look nutty, but I know it's not only guys with bulging shoulders that are on stuff. Yeah, for sure. That's true. Some people who you would think are natural can still use some things that you would never see. Akazazuri says, we expect that it goes... I already read that one. When you make a rule, enforce it or leave it. Yeah, I agree with that one for sure. WF should maybe consider dropping that rule. I think at this point it's just a matter of optics. I think the WF still has some potentially misguided ideas about getting arm wrestling into the Olympics or something like that. And wants to maintain the facade of being a tested sport, you know what I mean? But yeah, realistically, that's not the case, right? I do think it is an issue, or a potential issue in our sport going forward. If people from the outside want to get into the sport, even at a semi-competitive level at local tournaments and stuff, they might realistically get turned off if they tune into some big matches and all they see is like roided up monsters, you know what I mean? So I do think it's a hurdle we need to cross at a certain point. We need to kind of draw a line in the sand somewhere, you know what I mean? Mr. Green says, just get rid of the testing. If everyone is using, we all know it's a joke anyway. Stop the facade. Gotham says, well said, historian. This started before arm wrestling. Yeah, for sure. It's been growing in the entire sport world for nearly a century now. That Russo says, let's get Liver King into arm wrestling. Is he still alive? You think if Liver King tried arm wrestling, his eyes might genuinely pop? It'd be like an Ultra Jerry. He's eating livers of his inmates. Kazazuri. Mr. Green says, Olympics, nobody could qualify. Yeah. Very true. Yeah, there is a big facade going on. Well, there isn't. It's like this open secret in a way, right? From the leaks to the outside world, there is a facade going on. But once you take one step into arm wrestling, yeah, the writing is on the wall, right? You can just clearly see what's going on in the sport. like nobody looks at top contenders in arm wrestling and thinks, oh, this could be my like in shape neighbor, you know what I mean? Or this is like a very finely tuned, like very healthy looking athlete. Sometimes that's the case with some guys, but if you're talking about the really big freaks, the really big guys, yeah, not the case. Speaking of Jerry, what are his chances versus Vitaly? I have no clue, man. Like you can point to the Vitaly Dave match and think like, oh, if Dave can even floppers press Vitaly and win, take the entire match, then surely Jerry has a good chance, right? But on the other hand, probably Vitaly learned a lot from that match in going forward in his training, trained versus the press, and will be doing that versus Jerry, because in Dave you won't expect that, right? Who expected Dave to try to floppers press through Vitaly like that? I didn't, for sure. But against Jerry, you know what to expect, right? So I think Vitaly is gonna come in well prepared and is probably gonna take the win, I would imagine. Now that being said, Jerry is one of those X-Factor pullers who, like, because of his weird style of pulling, especially for a super heavyweight, like now you have more and more like the rise of the press and all that stuff, and like Kamil Jablonski and stuff coming into it, but Jerry is still a very unique puller at that weight, so maybe he can catch Vitaly off guard in that way. Maybe he's been working on something himself, I don't know. I feel like with Jerry it's very dependent on just how he feels coming into the match. Like, he looks so utterly helpless in some matches and so dominant and like set in his ways in other matches, so I can't help but think it's like a psychological thing with Jerry, like what's his mindset at going into the match. But yeah, I think it's a fine match. A lot of people are calling it like a foregone conclusion, but I think it's a fine match. I wish it was a different match, maybe. I don't know what the hype will be like. Right now, I think there's like, I don't know, a lot of people are kind of complaining about it, I've seen online, so kind of giving me the sense that there's not a lot of hype behind these matches. I don't know. In general, it seems like arm wrestling might be going into a lull after all the drama for a second. I don't know. Hard to say, hard to predict. There's always ups and downs, right? Mr. Green says Jerry could upset. I want to see the match. Yep, me too. Gary Gagaret says so. Like, that's a weird name. What happened to Gary Roberts? Is he still alive? I know what happened to him, why he left, but what's he been up to lately? Hey Jude, how you doing? Is that Mr. Jude Dubois there? How you doing, Jude? Good to see you. If it's not Jude Dubois, hi either way. I think that's about it, right? We talked about Engin's retirement match against Arthur Makarov. Here it is. Yeah. Really weird. Did they Photoshop Engin? His arm looks... Let's see if... For sure did something to their faces. I mean, they look like dolls, kind of, but... Interesting style they're going for. I don't hate it, but yeah. What do you guys think of this match? $80 kilograms. Well, Engin is gonna cut to 80 kilograms. It's gonna be in Yalova, December of this year. I want to see the vengeance match of Engin versus Bowen. Yeah, who knows? Might be a good match now, I don't know. Maybe just a really good out angle. Yeah, might be the case. When was this announced? Pretty recently, I think. Like today or yesterday? Arthur has to be like the 90-10 favorite, right? I would think so, yeah. For sure. For sure. I mean, just based off their last match. Although, you know, Engin won that match, right? Right, guys? Like the meme going around that Engin always claims he won that match. Yeah, he did seem like he was winning. He was like up 2-0, right? Is using low hand as a shorter arm good or not gonna work or be most effective? I don't know about that. Find low hand to be effective as like the higher your arm is, the more effective it looks to me. Like against shorter pullers, I usually dump my wrist a little and grab low. And then you can pronate from your wrist, kind of. Or pull them down, like contain their riser. I don't know, it just gives me more options against the smaller guys, the shorter lever guys. Kristap's Blue Man is on like the tiny screen here. One on fouls, it seems. So yeah, here is like the youngest male and female champions in Senior WAF Championship. Here you go, age 16, I believe this girl. Yeah, crazy. And age 18. Low hand seems to favor longer arm pullers in general. Yeah, indeed. That's what it feels like to me, at least. Nugo versus Matt, yeah, true. Engin was winning last time but got injured, indeed. Arthur won last match I saw. I would go with him against as Mr. Green. Well, depending on who you ask, I guess. I think if you ask Engin, he'll say that he won that match, but had to drop out or something. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Engin. He can have his own thoughts about his own match. But yeah, I think that about does it for today, guys. Keep your eyes peeled on the channel. There'll be another video upload coming soon. Long form video. And other than that, you'll see me again, same time, same place, next week. In a couple of minutes, I think about 15 minutes probably, there's going to be the fix over at Neil Pickup's channel. And until then, thank you all so much for hanging out. Greatly appreciate it. Everyone that tuned in today. See you next week. Bye-bye, guys.